everybody, it's Angel from Halo Inspirations. We give you inspirations to help you spread beauty and joy through your quilting journey. I am so glad that y'all stopped by, and I'm super excited about today. Today is the last video of a 4-video series on different methods of how to baste your quilt. And this video is all about fusible batting. And I will tell you that I am using Hobbs Fusible Batting. And in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a short demonstration on how to use it. Of course, within a practice sandwich is what I'm doing it with, because you know me and how much I love my practice sandwiches. And then afterwards, I'll come back and we'll just sit and talk about a few things and discuss the fusible batting to include some pros and cons. So let's go ahead and get this started. Here we are at my ironing table, and the first thing you're supposed to do is lay out your backing. Make sure that you spread it out without wrinkles. Then you want to lay down the batting, do the same thing, and then your topper, your top piece, and make sure it's all smooth. Then you want to make sure that your iron is set to the correct temperature for the fabric that you're using. So I have 100% cotton, so I do have my iron set for cotton, and I'm hoping it's heated up. Now the first thing, if you'll notice, I do want to point this out. My batting is not all the way to the end, to the edge, and same with my top piece. And the reason is you don't want it to touch the ironing board, because it'll adhere to the ironing board, and I don't want it to touch the iron. So it's just a little bit shorter all the way around, okay? Then what the packaging actually tells you to do is to sit here with it for about 5 to 7 seconds. And then we're going to see whether or not that is long enough. So basically we're testing the time. And, ooh, yeah. It definitely sticks. So I do think that is quite long enough. And the other thing that they tell you to do is not to iron, but to press. Okay. Now, once I get down to the bottom, it's really hard for me to press, so I'm just going to keep going over and over and over it. But what I'm going to do is keep on going through this until I get to the bottom, because I have more that is actually bigger than my table, and then I'll move it up to finish it. And then we'll talk about the next step. But it's not, it actually, there is no smell. I knew I was worried about it before, because when I opened up the packaging, whoo, you could tell that it had some kind of a adhesive to it. But I sat it out trying to get out the wrinkles as much as I could before I did this video. And I love how my fish turn different colors and go back with the heat. But it got less, the smell went away after some time as I was laying it out, trying to get some of those wrinkles out. Okay. Whew. Now they do say that oh yeah, it's sticking good. They do say that if you got a wrinkle in it, you can pull it back away to fix it, and you can do that. I think it says up to 3 or 4 times. And before the adhesive won't work anymore. So, ooh, I'm close. Yeah, I'm going to have to be careful when I flip this. It's hanging off the edge here, so. I know, it says to press. It's so hard for me to press. Okay, so after you're done with the top side, and it sticks real good, I gotta tell you. After you're done with the top side, it does suggest that you flip it over and do the back side. Now you can see I have some exposed here, so I'm going to be very careful not to get my iron on it, because that would be no good. So that's it basically in a nutshell. So I'm going to finish this up off camera, and I'll see y'all in just a bit. Okay, so I will say that this batting, fusible batting, really does hold really well together. And it doesn't gum your needles up. It's fast. As soon as it's done cooling, you can go ahead and start quilting. It's easy. It doesn't gum up your needles. And another bonus is that when you have finished quilting and binding, throw it right into the washer machine and it will launder out. No need to take it to the dry cleaner. It does specifically say in the packaging that just launder it out, okay? Another thing I will mention, that whenever I was in the demonstration, I talked about if you found a wrinkle, that it's very forgiving and that you could just pull it back, reposition everything, and re-iron. I said, I believe in the demonstration that it was 3 or 4 times you could do that. The packaging actually says 2 or 3. So I wanted to make that correction, but it is very forgiving. It does work without a hitch, no problems there. Another thing is when you go to quilt, the batting actually says that you have to do it no more than 4 inches apart. So that's really important to know. Another thing, if you only wanted to do one side, or if you wanted to do one at a time, opposed to the way that I did it, doing both, it does say that you take parchment paper. I've never done this, but this is what the instructions say. You take parchment paper and you lay that on your ironing board or your pressing board, and then you put the batting down, and then you put the piece of fabric that you want to do at that point, and then do it. But it's important to use parchment paper and not any wax. So not freezer paper, not wax paper, no wax. It was in all caps. And after you're done with the one side, it will not stick to your pressing board that way, and the adhesive will still be intact and ready if in fact that you want to do the second time, you know, the other side later. It still is very much able to be adhesed with your iron. So I wanted to point that out because I thought that was really interesting. So those are the cons, and it doesn't smell anything like your store-bought spray baste at all. So you don't even have to worry about spraying any toxic fumes. Don't have to worry about being outside. Got to be inside with your ironing board. Now, it did say one of the cons I feel is, again, I feel that this is a very much of a small project thing. They do say if you're working with a large project that they recommend using painter's tape to hold down the backing to keep it in place. I'm sure there's a way on your ironing board to do that. It's just not something that I'm interested in trying to figure out. And I know I don't have a pressing board big enough to do that, but it does say that they suggest that you use the painter's tape. So again, that to me is a con because it's not easy to do. Can't lay it on the floor and just start ironing away. And then of course you're getting on the floor at that point. So that's the con, but other than that, I give this product a thumbs up. And if I'm doing those large projects, like I said, still, it's either a long arm or it's thread basting, because that's the way to go. But other than that, it really is a great product, and I encourage you to try it out for your small projects. And if any of you do use it for a large project, I'd love to hear how you do that. It'd be not just educational for me, but for anybody else who's watching it. You can drop that in the comment below. So that is all 4 methods. This is the last video. Next week, we're going to be working on binding. So I will see you next Wednesday with binding, but I will also be tonight on Facebook, or today at 3 p.m. on Facebook Live to do a live Q&A session about fusible batting. Answer any questions. We can talk more about it if anything I think I forgot to mention. And so I will see you today on our Facebook page at 3 p.m. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next week, may you continue to be inspired, productive, and joyful. And never stop making those dreams in quilting come true. Love y'all. See y'all later.